Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Creative Burrows Gaming channel. My name is Isaac, and once again I'm playing Factorio version 0.17.experimental. In between episodes there, I did go ahead, expand the green circuits. I just copied and pasted what I'd had, merged the lines together. So I now have what looks like maybe 1.5 belts or 1 3/4 belts of green circuits. Which is good because I also went ahead and expanded my red circuits. And these I simply also doubled up so that I could still maintain the same throughput to blue science down there, as well as splitting that off for future advancements. Looking at science, we're just about wrapped up with mining productivity 2, so if we take a look over there, I'm going to look into what else I'm going to need coming up here, because I do want to get into robotics. But for robots, I am going to need flying robot frames. And there we are. So And now the greatest part of the episode. What do I choose to research? Well, I think before I get any other sciences built, I'll probably research everything. So let's go with personal lasers, some energy shields, uranium processing for fun and games, laser shooting speed. Since I don't have to worry about ammunition there, that's just going to take up more electricity. I'm going to pass on the discharge defense. I've never heard anything good about it. And frankly, I really do not want any of the biters to get close enough to me to actually activate that. So I'm going to focus down different lanes. Flamethrower, later on I might get into flame turrets and such. There we are. And yeah, they don't look like they're too expensive. It's just that they take oil products, and currently at the moment I'm using all the oil products to keep producing my engines, red circuits, plastic, so on and so forth. And I'm going to bypass combat robotics. I want all my robotics to be for personal logistics purposes. So there's that. Now, as I was saying, we need flying robot frames for my robots. I do believe also that we're going to need flying robot frames and processing units, or those blue chips there, for the utility science, or the gold science here, as well as the low density structures. While over on the production science packs, we're going to need rails, electric furnaces, and productivity modules. Excuse me. So for that, I think what I'm going to do is focus on getting utility science here started. All the production lines started for that. And I'm going to start with flying robot frames. I can see no better use for everything than to try to get that out. And for those, I'm going to need electric engines, which I don't think I've gotten into producing yet. I have regular engines over here being produced for blue science, I do believe. Yep, there they are. They come right on down, team up with the solid fuel line, and feed our blue science over there. So that means I'm going to have to make another line of engines and electric engines. Or if... Actually, I think what I'm going to do is make a robot outpost here. Yeah, I'm going to make a robot production outpost. Just make it part of the mall, if I can. I don't see any reason I can't. And then this way, I can have robots building for my future logistics and construction network, and then build a pure science production facility. And what I mean by that is a facility strictly for, or that's strictly built to support only the science production. So I won't have to worry about expanding it and then taking bits and pieces off. So for that, looking at how I have everything arranged here, I'm going to need some steel, some iron gears, and some pipes. And this could get a bit awkward, because this mall is really starting to get quite long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split iron off and bring it up the backside here. And past these miners, I think, I am going to place the production facilities I need for robots. So what I'm going to need is, let's see. Okay, so it's a 1-to-1 of engine units to electric engine units. And 1 electric engine to flying robot frames, but one of those can produce 2 robot frames. Or what I mean is we'll have 2 electric engines by the time we have 1 robot frame done. So 1 electric engine assembler will provide for 2 robot frame assemblers. Which of course always begs the question, how do you want to set this up? And I've never found a completely satisfactory answer to that question. I probably should go in, redesign this mall, make everything perfect and custom and wonderful. But I don't think I'm going to worry about that just yet. So let's change this over to engines. Nothing here. Okay, so let's do this one as engines, since it has the gear wheels, the steel plates, just not the pipes provided. Yeah, okay. And now I've gone back to setting it up the way I had it before. And we're going to do this with blue assemblers here, or level 2 assemblers, since we need lubricant for the electric engines. So we'll just do something kind of straightforward like that. Rotate that over so I can run my pipe into it. Even if that might be the best position to run a pipe down. We'll find out when I get to it. And then from here, I want to put it on 2 robot frames, which would best be served doing something like this. And then these can feed into construction and logistics robots, which take almost no time actually, but I don't think that's what I'm going to do. Instead, I think I'm going to just output my electric engines to the back here. We will run a belt down, and we will attach that to our robot frames. Who will feed into a mutual box. think I'm just going to be using steel boxes from here on out for upgrading purposes later. And from there, this is probably taking more thought than it really ought to. Something like that, maybe? But how do I get it from here to the robots that need it? Because this is just all about building robots. It has nothing really to do. And I still need batteries and steel and green circuits over here. Well, the steel I can get from back here. That is not too much of an issue. Well, let's keep refining those flammables. So we have steel accounted for, we have the electric engines accounted for, we just need green circuits and batteries. And for that, see output priority left, we'll make this into green circuits, and we'll just spaghetti this around. Until it meets our battery line here. And we could pull that down something like that. Do a bit like that. And then we'll hop over the line. Okay. And these just need either green circuits or red circuits and the flying robot frames. Okay, so maybe not the neatest solution, but I give it some thought while I go get lubricant producing, because I do not believe I have lubricant production anywhere. And with a quick look, I don't. So we're going to have to go get that producing as well. Fantastic. And really, I do mean fantastic. It means I haven't been overproducing lubricant for no purpose yet, and thus backing up my oil needlessly. And of course, the biters have never ceased attacking. So we're just going to try to run this lubricant line down somewhere hopefully sensible. And we'll go back to Lumberjack Simulator real quick to do it. Okay, so we're kind of someplace where we theoretically have a line prepped for lubricant. There we go. Okay, so we kind of have a line prepped for lubricant, and what we need for lubricant is going to be heavy oil. Now, if I remember right, my heavy oil stash is, yep, quite a ways down there. And I know I'm spending a lot of time running this lubricant line out. Probably could have started just building my lubricant production. but I am really not kidding when I say I am thoroughly paranoid about not connecting my pipes so that I spend just as long trying to find where I forgot to put something. So lubricant, let's see, we gotta get 2 lubricant every or 10 lubricant every second. And we're going to need 15 lubricant every 10 seconds just for one electric engine. That means, well, at 10 lubricant a second, we can run, or even 20 lubricant a second. Well, let's do 30 lubricant a second. That means we can run 30 electric engine machines. So I think that's the ratio I'm going to go for, is 3 lubricant plants. And they are all going to need heavy oil, of course. But that's fine. We're just going to pull it right off of solid fuels there. And for the first time, I am going to actually, build a storage tank for this. And I think I'm actually going to go through and build quite a few storage tanks. And the reason for this is that I want to start partly experimenting with circuit conditions and also creating a method of measuring output for those circuit conditions. Might as well get nuclear power. Probably going to go to it at some point. Laser turret shooting speed. Sounds good. And more energy shields. Down here. Nope. We are fast running out of anything we can research, or I want to research, off of blue science. So for those tanks, where'd they? There they are. So for those tanks, I'm going to... Wow, did I put the tank in a rather silly spot, it looks like, but that's fine. Okay, so we have a tank there. We're going to need pumps. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 for each tank I'm going to put down, I think. Connect these right up. And we'll put the tanks down in a temporary spot. As well as there's those pumps. Plop those right in there too. And what I'm going to need is probably a few decider combinators and some red wire for all this. Oh, oof. Handcrafting green circuits. I knew I shouldn't have gotten rid of them all. But that's okay. That'll be fine. I don't see any issue with that. Do what you gotta do to get it done. And then we'll just use the pump to hook everything up. There we go. So this is going to be our lubricant storage tank. These are our lubricant producers. And they should have everything they need to begin making something except heavy oil. There's no heavy oil being produced there, none there. So where's all the heavy oil gone? Well, and it looks like we are quite full up on light oil, and I think all the heavy oil has gone towards cracking. In fact, I would say it's almost definitely all gone towards cracking. So we are going to put a tank on our light oil here. And then we're going to have to, of course, reconnect that up. And we'll... do I need a... No. I do not need a pump on that just yet. Because what I need to do is place a tank right here. Or do I? Oh no. Think it too hard. Okay. So I'm gonna be getting around to this. Okay, so we got the light oil here. Let's get some spacing. We'll need 2 for the pump. We'll need to move it upwards. Redirect it back into the line. There we go. So light oil flow through. That's all good. The heavy oil does have to be directed. And I think we're going to accomplish it kind of like this. Alright, so light oil still over there, still producing. Plastics still cranking on. Here we are. Solid fuel. Now the issue is that I'm taking my lubricant line straight off the solid fuel. And I don't think I want to do that actually, for what I'm about to do here. Instead, I think I want to branch it. And the reason I want to branch it is that like I said, I want some control over this. So that means I'm probably going to need at least one more pump. There we are. Need to connect those back into the line. There we go. Gonna need a power pole for these guys. Excellent, provided. So, here's what I am thinking is that I'm going to be using a lot of decider combinators. And what these are going to do are read a signal and then follow a set of lines. So, I'm going to plug the signal of each of these tanks into one combined network. And the only 2 tanks I'm worried about are light oil and lubricant. This might expand as it goes on, but first let's see if I can get this controlled test to work. And then I'm going to need a decider combinator over here to control that flow, and a decider combinator here to determine the flow here. Which means I need to run more red wire, because of course I do. So let's see if I can use the little, maybe slide exploit, I'd call it, where one can copy paste power poles, and any red or green wire that's attached to those power poles will be copied over at no cost. And this really helps just kind of minimize having to burn through copper plates to make copper wire to make red and green wire. So what you do make, you can just focus on placing into your deciders, into what you want to do with it. There we go. So we have oil hooked up and going to everything. And once again, need to run even more wire. Quite a bit everywhere. Okay, so that should be every decider now in the network. Every tank is now in the network. Yep. And this pump here doesn't have to be here. I'm just using it to help push lubricant through the line as I get it. So what I'm going to need to do is determine a couple sets of values. And with the wire coming to the tanks, it's going to read the contents of those tanks. And so the first decision is, do I make solid fuel or do I make lubricant? And we are going to say that if, there we are, lubricant is less than, let's say 5,000, then that is going to output a 1 and a, let's choose a signal here, and I'm going to choose green. So we'll need to get that information to the decider somehow. There we are. And then we need to get that from the decider to the pumps here. So this one is going to be enable disabled. It goes to our rocket fuel. And I do not want it to work if we don't have lubricant. So what I'm going to say that if a green signal does not equal one, then it should enable itself. Because that means if the lubricant is at 5,000 or above, then that green signal won't be output. And with that signal not output, it won't equal 1, of course. It'll be 0 because it'll be false. And so with that at 0, this will be able to pump. Now this one, I want if that green signal does equal 1, then it pumps. And right now, we're directing all our heavy oil straight over to lubricant. But that brings us to the next decision, which is, do we crack or not? And so for that, once again, we have to hook our decider into the network. And I think we're going to actually use the same conditions here. So I'm just going to shift right click to copy, shift left click to place, take a look at it, check, it checks out, and we're going to run that right over to our pump here. And once again, that is, we're going to want that to, or actually we're going to run this to both pumps. And if you're thinking this looks like a lot of the same decision making repeated to control these pumps, then you are entirely right. I'm not trying to do anything very complicated or very fancy. This is a kind of crude brute force method. And for this, I'm going to say that if lubricant is less than 5K and it outputs the green signal, then, well, we're just going to copy these guys because it's going to be the same case. If lubricant's less than 5K, then I don't want my heavy oil going towards being cracked down and put into my light oil here. I just want light oil to be cracked all on its own. And I want my heavy oil diverted to its production. And so for this one, we're going to save the green circuit. Come on, there we are. Green circuit condition is equal to 1. Then it should definitely work. And so right there, if we ever have lubricant less than 5,000 in this storage tank, then no heavy oil will be sent to solid fuels. It'll be diverted straight to lubricant. And if there's less than 5K lubricant, then actually I'm going to say if less than 7,500 over here. So if there's less than 7,500 lubricant in that tank, then heavy oil won't be diverted to cracking. It will be diverted to lubricant and solid fuel production. And I think I'm going to change this to if it is less than or equal to. So this pump will always pump because the only conditions it's going to get are either 0 or 1. And this pump over here will only pump if there's a 1. And there you go. I hope that kind of explained it for everybody. If it didn't, I'll be messing around with circuit conditions some more. So for that one, thank you for bearing with me. I know this has been not a whole lot's gotten accomplished here, but what we have accomplished will set the basis for these more complicated builds as we go through the game. So we've kind of started robots. We've delved into learning how to use circuit conditions and combinators to set those conditions to control the flow of material throughout the factory. Next time, we are going to be delving into yellow science. I'll probably use what I've learned here, trying to get robots made, to set up production lines to make that yellow science. And we're going to try to do as ratio correct as we can, while still aiming for a production time of, what was it, 2 packs a second, I believe? Yeah, well, I'll go do my math again, and we'll probably aim for 2 packs a second like everything else in the factory. So anyways, thank you very much for bearing with me. I hope you've learned something. If there's anything you'd like to let me know about, please feel free to put a comment down below. Next time, yellow science. Thank you.